One night the girl Lida, who was 15 years old, was walking home from a friend. She turned into a narrow street to take a shortcut, and shuddered when she saw an old man standing in her way. When she stopped, the old man turned to her and said in a hoarse voice, "Tell me the way." His face was nasty, his skin was covered with scars and boils, his hair was greasy and uncombed, his eyes were terribly bulging, almost bulging out of their sockets. Lydia was horrified. She was alone in a dark, narrow alley with this strange and anxious old man. Her heart was pounding and it took her a few seconds to catch her breath. "Tell me the way," the old man demanded. "Where are you going?" Lydia asked nervously. When the old man gave her the address he was looking for, a chill ran down her spine. This was her home. "I don't know where it is," she answered shortly. Then she walked past the old man and ran down the alley. Looking around, she saw him standing in the alley, watching her run. Lydia was thrilled by the incident where she didn't stop until she returned to her home. Sighing in relief, she took out the keys. She looked up and down the street to make sure the old man didn't follow her. The street was empty. She turned the key, and locked the door and flung it open. "Tell me the way," came a hoarse voice from the darkness. "When I was a child, my family moved to a big old two-floor house, with big empty rooms and creaking floorboards. Both my parents worked, so I was often alone when I came home from school. One early evening when I came home, the house was still dark. I called out, 'Mom,' and heard her sing-song voice say 'Yes' from upstairs. I called her again as I climbed the stairs to see which room she was in, and again got the same 'Yes' reply. We were decorating at the time, and I didn't know my way around the maze of rooms, but she was in one of the far ones, right down the hall. I felt uneasy, but I figured that was only natural, so I rushed forward to see my mom, knowing that her presence would calm my fears, as a mother's presence always does. Just as I reached for the handle of the door to let myself into the room, I heard the front door downstairs open and my mother call, 'Sweetie, are you home?' in a cheery voice. I jumped back, startled, and ran down the stairs to her, but as I glanced back from the top of the stairs, the door to the room slowly opened a crack. For a brief moment, I saw something strange in there, and I don't know what it was, but it was staring at me. We bought an old house, my boyfriend and I. He is in charge of the new construction, converting the kitchen into the master bedroom, for instance, while I am on wallpaper removal duty. The previous owner papered every wall and ceiling. Removing it is brutal, but oddly satisfying. The best feeling is getting a long peel, similar to your skin when you're repeeling from a sunburn. I don't know about you, but I kinda make a game of peeling, on the hunt for the longest piece before it rips. Under a corner section of paper in every room is a person's name and a date. Curiosity got the best of me one night when I googled one of the names and discovered the person was actually a missing person, the missing date matching the date under the wallpaper. The next day, I made a list of all the names and dates. Sure enough, each name was for a missing person with dates to match. We notified the police, who naturally sent out the crime scene team. I overheard one text say, "Yep, it is human." Human? What is human?
Where is the material you removed from the walls already?
This isn't the wallpaper you were removing. One day a little girl was left at home alone. Her mother went to work. When mom came to the front door, she warned the girl, "If you hear a knock on the door, do not answer it." The girl spent most of the day alone, watching TV, playing computer games and getting her nails done. Suddenly her phone rang. The number was hidden. She answered the call and a strange, raspy voice said,
Black wheels. Black wheels.
"Found your city, we are looking for your street."
The girl did not understand.
She thought this creepy voice was very strange, but decided that maybe someone had dialed the wrong number. 5 minutes later, her phone rang again, and a voice shouted,
Black wheels. Black wheels.
"Found your street, we are looking for your home." The girl was scared, she did not know what to do. She rushed up the stairs to her bedroom and hid under the bed. Suddenly her phone rang again and a voice shouted,
Black wheels. Black wheels.
"We found your house, we are looking for your door." Then the girl heard an ominous knock at the door.
She crept down the stairs.
She heard a knock on the door again, louder this time. She looked through the keyhole, but could not see anyone outside. The girl reached out, turned the handle, and opened the front door. A few hours later, the girl's mother returned from work and found the front door wide open. She rushed inside and screamed when she saw the terrible scene. The girl was lying dead on the floor. Her body was flat and there were tire marks all over her body. But the worst thing is that a big black wheel got stuck in her mouth. The two men, Banner and Gray, were hitchhiking along the deserted road, but no car stopped. They were tired, their feet ached from walking. The sun was setting fast and they had to find a place to sleep. They came to an old, abandoned house and decided to hide inside. The garden is overgrown with weeds and bushes. The door creaked on rusty hinges, and a dusty carpet lay on the floor. The men took several cans from their backpacks and ate some food. Then they unrolled their blankets on the floor, got comfortable and fell asleep. In the middle of the night, Gray suddenly woke up from a restless sleep. It was dark and he was shivering with cold. Suddenly he heard a strange noise. It was a high-pitched whistle. Suddenly he saw his friend. The Banner stood in the shadows, listening. He looked like he was in some kind of trance. Then the man began to slowly climb the stairs, his boots creaking on the wooden steps. The shrill whistle intensified. Gray wanted to yell at his friend to come back, but the words stuck in his throat. Banner continued up the stairs and completely disappeared from sight. Suddenly the steps stopped and Gray held his breath. He waited and waited. Then he heard a terrible scream that shattered the silence of the night and almost made him jump out of his skin. Then the steps resumed. Gray trembled with fear as he saw a pair of boots slowly descending the stairs. In the moonlight, he could see a hand groping for the railing. A terrible chill ran down Gray's back when he saw the other hand. She was clutching a bloody axe. Then he saw his friend's face. It was deathly pale. His eyes were glazed and his mouth twisted into a hideous grin. Blood dripped from his forehead from a huge wound that nearly split his skull in half. Gray let out a blood-curdling cry and ran out of the house. He ran blindly through the pitch darkness of the night, desperately trying to get away from the old house. He ran and ran, all the while imagining that his friend was chasing him with a bloody axe and his terrible death grin. He ran and ran until he collapsed exhausted. In the morning, he managed to find a police station and told the sheriff what he saw. Together they returned to the old house to check it out. Gray broke out in a cold sweat at the thought of what they would find there. The sheriff opened the creaking door and peered inside. Gray glanced nervously over his shoulder. On the floor he saw his friend. The Banner lay face down in a pool of blood, almost split in half. His dead hand was still gripping the handle of the axe. The blade of the axe was stuck in the floor, in the very place where Gray's head lay at night. The sheriff searched the house from top to bottom, but did not find a single living soul.